Avatar is the most successful movie in cinema history. Its visuals were a never-seen-before phenomenon, and that was enough to make it stand out from the pack. However, visuals alone don't make a movie, as the script has to be on point too. And as successful as the first Avatar was, getting the second script right was equally challenging. Keep watching this video as James Cameron has revealed the problem he had with the first draft of Avatar. Problems with the first draft of Avatar. Thankfully, we got our hands on the notes of the first draft of Avatar that the studio executives gave to James Cameron. Also, the director's responses have also been leaked. And even while some of his issues with the first draft seemed passable, it all worked in the best interest of the film. Here are 13 problems that James Cameron had with the first draft of Avatar, as well as some of his proposed solutions. Problem 1. You state this film picks up where Titanic left off. The story of the Titanic didn't leave off in the year 2154 in outer space. Problem 2. Let's lose the whole Bertoli is ravaging the planet of Pandora in search of only the finest tomatoes for its sauces. Aside from the fact that this could be grounds for a lawsuit, it's hard to believe that tomato sauce could finance an intergalactic mission. Let's use a fictional corporation instead. Problem 3. You describe the Na'vi as being 10 feet tall and almost half an inch wide. The audience will have trouble seeing creatures this thin, especially from a distance. Problem 4. It's 2154. Why do the labels on all the Avatar machines brag of being Windows 95 compatible? Problem 5. While it worked for Clark Kent, we feel it is far-fetched that dark-rimmed glasses would be sufficient enough of a disguise to fool the Na'vi into believing that Jake Sully is one of them, especially given the fact that none of the Na'vi wear glasses. Problem 6. We understand the importance of using subtitles to translate Na'vi into English, but do we really need subtitles translating English into Na'vi? Problem 7. While the concept of the Na'vi connecting with creatures of the forest is interesting, we don't think that doing so via a 24 MPS dial-up connection is the appropriate method. Even more confusing, the Na'vi keep getting disconnected from the creatures when they receive an incoming call. Problem 8. The script reads, interrupt the film to inform the audience that they've accidentally been given sunglasses instead of 3D glasses. Despite the fact that the audiences would probably have noticed this error much earlier than 40 minutes into the film, why would you plan to make such a mistake? Problem 9. Initiation into Na'vi society should be more complex than through purchasing a $40 membership card. Problem 10. Why is Jake trying to negotiate a deal for the Na'vi to leave Home Tree in exchange for them getting The Tonight Show? Problem 11. It is difficult to believe the Na'vi would survive very long if the strongest weapon in their arsenal was wiffle bats and balls. Problem 12. Script reads, the humans bomb Home Tree. Thousands of Keebler elves fall out. Where do they come from? You've made no mention of them up to this point, and you make no mention of them after. Problem 13. This ending needs to be rewritten. In the middle of the battle, you write Jake Sully wakes up. It was all just a dream. He was never Jake Sully at all. He's Rose on board the Titanic. The Titanic sinks. Make these changes and you've got a green light, my friend, James Cameron. What about the first Avatar 2 script? Was there also a problem with it? Even for inexperienced writers, let alone a Hollywood legend like James Cameron, being content with the first draft is extremely uncommon. Despite taking almost a year to write, the seasoned director reportedly threw out the whole Avatar 2 script. Why? Because he was unsatisfied with it. In an interview with The Times, Cameron stated, I drafted a full script for the sequel before realizing it didn't reach level 3. The Titanic and the Terminator director claimed that whereas other movies operate on 2 levels, the surface, character, issue and resolution, and thematic, movie's message, the Avatar franchise operates on a 3rd level, which is the subconscious. When asked why moviegoers would have to wait 13 years for the sequel to Avatar, director James Cameron said that he and the team were involved in deep ocean exploration. Liam O'Donnell, the writer and director of Beyond Skyline, tweeted about the deep ocean exploration and research for Avatar 2. He said, and I quote, just the amount of data they acquired. 15 cameras are used to capture underwater performance. Each actor's face was captured by 2 cameras. CG creatures underwater reference capture. Oh, and infrared depth capture to insert CG actors into real-world footage. Besides not reaching level 3, is there another reason why Cameron discarded the first Avatar 2 script? In the 2010s, James Cameron kept his nose firmly to the grindstone, attempting to figure out how to make a sequel to his Oscar-winning box office smash Avatar. This was at a time when the rest of Hollywood was going crazy for superhero movies and shared worlds. It has been a full 13 years since James Cameron's 2009 original Avatar film spread blue fever over the world, and as you might guess, Cameron's journey to this point has been very stop and go. His original intention was to finish a trilogy by directing 2 sequels back to back, with the first of those films debuting in late 2014. That is until Cameron Cameron made the decision to start again and discard his early draft of The Way of Water. A renowned, volatile director like Cameron going to such measures is not difficult to believe. But why exactly did he do that? He was unable to decipher the original Avatar code, that's why. In an interview with the Times UK, Cameron admitted that he had not been able to crack the code of how he made the first Avatar such a huge success. The subconscious is a third level of operation for Avatar, though. After reading the full sequel script that I had written, I noticed that it did not reach level 3. Boom! New beginnings that required a year. Recreating the Avatar experience. You could excuse yourself if you were a little skeptical about the way Cameron waxes lyrical about Avatar's artistic merit, beyond its sense of craft. Critics and general viewers were evidently considerably more enamored with the film's graphics and the cinematic experience it provided than they were with its narrative parts, even when it first came out, which were praised for having progressive, environmental, and anti-imperialist themes, but derided for relying on regressive tropes like the white savior. In his defense, Cameron appears to be aware of this to some extent. In an interview with the Marianne Williamson podcast in 2021, he emphasized that the third level the movie works on is the experience of seeing Avatar. He also said, and I quote, "There was also a tertiary level. It was like longing to be in a dream, to be there, in that place where you wanted to be and where you felt comfortable, where it was flying, with its liberating and thrilling feeling, or being in a forest where you can smell the ground. It was a sensory object that had such profound a communication. That was the first movie's spirituality. Indeed, those sensory elements played a crucial role in Avatar's overwhelming popularity with the general public. It's a rare quality that would have been difficult for a sequel to recreate 8 years ago. Never alone in the context of today's film industry. The decision by Cameron to immediately discard his original sequel script draft may have been for the best. As the saying goes, you should never bet against James Cameron, but even he is aware that he needs to make the best possible impression here. When is the release date for Avatar: The Way of Water? Discarded scripts and all, the wait for the second installment of the Avatar series is finally over. Avatar: The Way of Water finally premiered in cinemas on December 16th, 2022, so you can go and catch it in a cinema in your area. Cameron believes that Avatar 2 may have failed if it had been released 2 years after the original. The highest grossing picture in history is James Cameron's Avatar from 2009, but a sequel wasn't made available straight away. In fact, The Way of Water, the sequel, just recently hit the cinemas, some 13 years after the first. But does Cameron believe that timing is an issue? The first teaser trailer received roughly 150 million views in its first day, despite Cameron's initial worries that fans might not care as much after so many years. Despite the trailer's quick success, Cameron expressed his doubt that The Way of Water can ever again attract a sizable audience. Cameron said, and I quote, "With Avatar 2 arriving almost 13 years later, I was a little worried that I had stretched the tether too long in our fast-paced modern society. This was before the teaser trailer was released, which received 148 million views in 24 hours. There's that little observed but admired at principle sentiment, which goes something like this: wow, we haven't seen that in a while, but I remember how cool it was back then. Does that work to our advantage? I'm not sure. I suppose we will find out." Given that The Way of Water is a sequel to a film that was released more than 10 years ago, Cameron was replying to a question regarding whether or not viewers will identify with the characters and narrative. He stated that he is unsure either way, and that potentially the Avatar sequel may fail if it was released 2 years after the original one. In Hollywood, nothing is guaranteed after all. He stated that, "I believe I could have released a sequel 2 years later, and it would have failed because viewers couldn't connect with the actors or the story's direction." So guys, what do you make of the problems James Cameron had with the first draft of the Avatar script? Is he being too much of a perfectionist, or do you think his complaints are valid? Kindly let us have your thoughts in the comment section. And if you enjoyed watching this video, which I'm sure you did, why don't you give it a like and share so your pals can watch it too? Last but certainly not least, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tap the notification bell to keep getting more interesting content like this. See you next time!